He was crying, and cheetahs are not supposed to cry. Not real tears, not the kind you and I have. But something close. A thin, wet line running from the corner of his eyes down to his mouth. Every cheetah has these lines. Scientists call them tear marks. Most people think they are just markings like stripes on a tiger. But if you watch a cheetah long enough, you learn something strange. When a cheetah is scared, when a cheetah is alone, those lines darken. They get wet. They run longer than normal. And on a quiet morning in early spring, a keeper named Dana Coles walked up to a small enclosure and saw a cub with lines running all the way down his chin. His name was Zuri. He was 4 months old. And he had not stopped shaking for almost an hour. Dana had raised animals for 11 years. She had seen sick animals, hurt animals, animals in pain from broken bones. This was not that. Zuri was not hurt. His body was fine. But something inside him was breaking in a way that no bandage could fix. He would not eat. He would not drink. He pressed himself into the corner of his pen and stared at the fence like he was waiting for something terrible to walk through it. I need to stop here and tell you something important. Everything you are about to hear is a story. The names, the park, the people, all of it is created for this video. But the feeling behind it is real because thousands of cheetahs all over the world live with this same kind of fear every single day. This story is here to help you understand why. Zuri was born the smallest of 3 cubs. His mother could only feed 2 of them properly. Within days, keepers knew he would not survive without help. So they pulled him out, wrapped him in a blanket, and started feeding him from a bottle every 3 hours, day and night. It saved his life. But it also left him without the one thing every cheetah cub needs most in the first months of life. Another heartbeat close to his own. A brother. A sister. Someone warm beside him when the world felt too big and too loud. By 4 months old, Zuri was strong. His legs were long. His body was healthy. But his mind had not caught up. Every sound made him flinch. Every shadow made him freeze. Visitors walking past his fence sent him running to the back wall, where he would stay for hours, tear lines running down his face. Dana wrote in her notes that night, "We are losing him, not his body, his spirit." She did not know yet that the answer to Zuri's fear was already on a truck, driving toward the park at that very moment. A small, clumsy puppy named Milo, who had almost run out of time himself just 3 weeks earlier in a shelter 400 miles away. Milo's story almost ended before it began. He was found on the side of a road outside a small town, soaked from rain, too weak to stand. Someone driving by saw him and stopped. That one small choice to pull over instead of driving past changed everything that came after. The shelter that took him in was already full. Too many dogs, not enough space, not enough time. Workers there had to make hard choices every week about which dogs could stay and which ones could not. Milo was small, sick, and scared. He was not the kind of dog that got picked quickly. For 3 weeks, he waited in a cage with a number on it instead of a name. Then a woman named Renata Cole saw a photo of him online. She ran a small rescue group that worked with zoos and animal parks, finding dogs for a very unusual job. Not every dog can do this job. It takes a certain kind of dog. Calm, steady. Not the type to bark at every noise or jump at every movement. Renata looked at Milo's photo for a long time. Something about his eyes told her he was the one. She drove 400 miles to get him herself. When she arrived at the shelter, Milo was curled in the back of his cage, shaking slightly, the same way Zuri shook back at the park. Renata sat on the floor outside his cage for almost 20 minutes before he came close enough to sniff her hand. That was the whole test. No training, no tricks. Just patience. She loaded him into her car, wrapped a towel around him, and started driving north. Milo slept most of the way, his small head resting against her leg. What Renata did not know, and what Milo could not possibly understand, was that 400 miles away, a cheetah cub was pacing the same small circle in his pen, tear lines drying and forming again, over and over, waiting for something he did not even know he needed. 2 young animals, born the same year, both nearly lost in their first months of life, were about to meet for the first time. Neither of them knew it yet. But their whole lives were already starting to bend toward each other, the way a river bends toward the sea, slowly, quietly, without asking permission from anyone. The morning Milo arrived at the park, nobody expected much. Dana had seen new companions brought in before. Most of the time, the cheetah cub barely noticed the puppy at first. Sometimes it took days. Sometimes weeks. She warned the rest of the team not to hope for too much too soon. Milo was carried into a small holding room next to Zuri's pen, separated by a low wire fence. This was normal. Keepers always kept new animals apart at first, just to let them get used to each other's smell and sound before anything closer happened. Zuri noticed him within minutes. He walked to the fence slowly, the way he walked toward everything like the ground itself might not be safe. His nose twitched. His ears turned forward, then back, then forward again. He was reading the air, trying to understand what this small, soft, loud-smelling creature was. Milo did something no one told him to do. He walked straight up to the fence and sat down. He did not growl. He did not bark. He did not back away. He just sat there, tail moving slowly against the floor, looking at the big spotted face on the other side of the wire like it was the most normal thing in the world. Zuri flinched and stepped back. Then he came forward again. Then back again. Dana watched this happen 4 or 5 times, the same small dance repeating itself, Cheetah advancing, Cheetah retreating, puppy simply waiting. On the 6th try, Zuri pressed his nose through a gap in the fence. Milo leaned forward and licked it. It was such a small thing. A single lick, lasting maybe 1 second. But Dana, who had watched hundreds of animal introductions in her career, felt something catch in her chest. She had seen animals accept each other before. She had never seen it happen this fast, this gently, on the very first meeting. Zuri did not run this time. He stood completely still, nose still pressed through the gap, eyes half closed like he was trying to memorize the feeling. Nobody in that room said a word for almost a full minute. They just watched a cheetah who had not stopped shaking in weeks finally go quiet, all because of one small dog who did not know enough to be afraid of him. The keepers waited 3 more days before opening the fence between them. This was not carelessness. It was care. Renata had explained that rushing this part could ruin everything. A cheetah's trust, once broken early, is very hard to rebuild. So they let Zuri and Milo sleep on opposite sides of the wire, eat on opposite sides of the wire, and slowly get used to sharing the same air, the same smells, the same small sounds of breathing at night. On the 4th morning, Dana opened the gate. Milo walked through first, tail wagging, sniffing the ground like it was the most exciting place he had ever seen. Zuri stood frozen for a moment, watching him explore. Then slowly he followed. They walked side by side for the first time that day, not touching, just close. A few feet apart, matching each other's pace like 2 kids meeting on the first day of school, not sure yet if they were friends but no longer strangers either. By the end of the week, Zuri would not walk anywhere without Milo beside him. This is the part of the story that surprised even the people who had done this work before. Cheetahs are fast. It is the one thing they are known for. A grown cheetah can run faster than almost any land animal alive. But Zuri never once ran ahead of Milo. Even at full speed, even when his whole body wanted to stretch out and fly across the yard, he stayed close to the small dog beside him. Dana began to understand why. Zuri was not just playing with Milo. He was checking with him. Every time a loud sound happened nearby, every time a stranger walked past the fence, Zuri would turn his head toward Milo first, not toward the sound itself. If Milo's tail kept wagging, if Milo stayed relaxed, Zuri would relax too. If Milo ever tensed up, so did Zuri. Milo had become something like a compass. Not because he understood what he was doing. He was just a dog being a dog, calm because that was simply who he was. But to Zuri that calm was proof. Proof that the world outside the fence was not something to fear every single time. The tear lines that once ran down his face nearly every day started showing up less and less. By the 2nd month, Dana wrote something different in her notes. For the first time since we brought him home, Zuri ate a full meal without stopping to check the fence once. Years passed at the park the way they always do, quietly, one ordinary day folding into the next. Zuri grew into a full-grown cheetah, tall and strong, exactly the way nature built him to be. Milo grew older too, his golden fur turning a little gray around his mouth, his walk a little slower than it used to be. But nothing about the bond between them slowed down at all. Visitors who came to the park often stopped walking the moment they saw them together. A cheetah lying in the sun with a dog resting his head across his back. People would take out their phones, take a photo, and stand there for a while, not fully understanding what they were looking at, but knowing somehow that it mattered. Dana still worked at the park. She still remembered that first morning, the tear lines on a scared cub's face, the fear that no medicine or training could fix. She had watched hundreds of animals over the years. She said Zuri and Milo were the pair she thought about the most, the one that taught her the most about what animals actually need. Not just food. Not just space. Not just safety. Someone beside them. Zuri became one of the park's most loved animals, calm enough now to sit near the fence while children pressed their hands close to the glass, watching him with wide eyes. He was no longer the cub who could not stop shaking. He had become something steady, something the whole park was proud of. And every single day Milo stayed close beside him, the same as always, not doing anything special, just being there. That is the whole story really. Not a dramatic rescue. Not a single big moment that changed everything. Just a small dog who was not afraid, standing beside a cheetah who was, day after day, until the fear slowly had nowhere left to hide. This story was written to represent something real. All over the world, animals like Zuri live with a kind of fear most of us never see, and sometimes the smallest companion is the thing that changes everything for them. If you have a friend like Milo, someone calm who stood beside you when everything felt too loud, tell me about them in the comments. I would really like to know.